It's August 2010, and I'm annoyed. The previous December, my uncle had invited me to watch the World Cup, which was in South Africa that year. June came around, and my dad decided that we had more important things to do. A few weeks later, I found out what those important things were. We were going to take an 8-hour flight from home, and we were going to come to a tiny town, middle of nowhere in New Brunswick, where I've never been. 16-year-old Mo didn't really care that much about Sackville, New Brunswick, or Mount Allison University, especially in early August. But after a week of lectures and projects and bonding, I came to really love the university and its community. And for any of you who've been here in early August, it's nothing like what really happens when the school gets started. From day one of orientation, I had a chance to join a group that would undergo a truly memorable journey. In my 4 years at Mount Allison, I learned one thing about this class. We're survivors. We survived the wildness of orientation. We survived res life and meal hall, and then we survived leaving it. We survived strike life and came back. And even today, we continue to survive, going through presentations, theses, papers, assignments, and recitals. Each of the candidates speaking today has given so much in their time here, but we've also received a lot of great experiences, friendships, and hopefully at least the resemblance of an education. We've had a fantastic journey, and as it comes to a close, I'd like to give voice to that journey and to the lessons and experiences that we've had. It's March 2015, and the 16-year-old who missed the World Cup is long gone. In his place is a guy who's not really an adult yet, and while excited to graduate, will miss this class of survivors. And if you give me the chance, I hope that I can do just that. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Alyssa. So I kind of went about this speech a little bit like a paper proposal, because it's kind of like a speech proposal, right? And so, I sat down at my computer. When I started working on it, I opened Word, I opened 8-tracks, I opened Facebook, I got a coffee. 2 hours went by, I hadn't written anything. And then, I did a little research, and I wrote a fairly, a good, positive, reminiscing speech. And then this morning, I was at the fitness center, where I tend to do all my thinking these days. And I was like, that doesn't describe my Mount A experience. Something else does. So, I hope you guys will humor me for a second. I want you to picture your Mount A crush. Now, undergrads in the audience, I'm not really sure who you're picturing, and I don't really know if I want to know. But grads, I'm sure a few of you females are definitely picturing Scott York. Well, some of us like me, I picture the sandwich ladies at meal hall. Really miss those ladies. Oh, Mount A crushes. So I would never be so bold or audacious to say that we've all had the same experience here, because I know that's not true. I mean, some of us have been counting down the days to graduation since Frosh Week, and I'm sorry, student life, I just said Frosh. And I also know that some of us are also trying to figure out how many positions of leadership can merit a 5th year. But, we've all had a Mount A experience, and it's really hard to tell you all what makes that so special. But there are a few things I can say. I can tell you about having an unwavering affiliation to a residence for absolutely no reason other than someone from housing decided to put you there. I can tell you about spending more time writing and editing a paper to a professor than I've spent on some graded assignments. And I can tell you about going to a truly inspirational keynote speech, and then 6 hours later finding myself at the pub belting out from the window to the wall. But I can also tell you about the expression on my mom's face the first time I accidentally called Sackville home in front of her, and she wasn't impressed. She's still not impressed. I can tell you about fundamentally questioning university as an institution, and also my purpose for being here, when really I should have been spending that time finishing the paper that was due in 2 hours. I can tell you about meal hall crushes. I can tell you about mistakes. I can tell you about good times, and I can tell you about good grades, and I can also tell you about not so good grades. And I can tell you about how many freaking pairs of shoes I've destroyed due to Sackville winters. But I can also tell you about how a group of perfect strangers became best friends. And then those best friends also became sisters and brothers and quite frequently mothers. And I can also tell you how thankful I am to have gone to a university that's so full of such intelligent, philanthropic, talented, and creative people. I would be incredibly honored to express to our friends, our family, faculty, and staff just how thankful we are that they have supported us on this journey and in an attempt to bestow with them just a little bit of our Mount A experience. And then also be able to give what I'm sure will not be a final farewell to the class of 2015. Thank you.
My name is Emily Crozier, and I'm a fourth-year honors sociology student. And I want to start this off with an embarrassing secret. So we all remember Drew Dudley, the bearded guy in the fedora doing the keynote speech during orientation, who's jumping around telling us that we were important, and that this right now is important. And that contrary to popular belief, even our liberal arts degrees are important. And my secret is that for the past 4 years, I wanted to be Drew Dudley, minus the beard and minus the fedora. This is kind of an embarrassing secret for a couple of reasons. First, telling your parents that you want to be a professional storyteller and motivational speaker are kind of like the 22-year-old equivalent of telling them you want to be Hannah Montana. Second, Drew Dudley cares way more than what is typically socially acceptable. So for the last 4 years, I tried to squash that dream. Tried to settle down into imagining myself as a teacher or a social worker or a policy analyst, all of which are enormously radical in their own right, but just not what I was looking for. But I couldn't. So in the last few months, I've been trying to embrace this side of myself, the storytelling side and the cares too much side. Because I came to realize and believe that these are essential qualities of a valedictorian. Class of 2015. You may have seen my name on posters and Facebook events, speaking, giving testimony, reciting poetry. This probably makes it sound like all I do is talk. So I want you to know, friends, that I've been listening as well. I've been listening because I believe that there is nothing more powerful than providing witness, be it silent or active, to the successes and struggles of other people. I know what it is like to struggle and succeed at this school because not only have I struggled and succeeded myself, but I have witnessed all of you struggle and succeed as well. For some of you, success is being a Bell Scholar, or graduating with first-class honors, or getting into grad school. And for some of you, success is getting to this point in your degree, making it this far in an environment that may not have always been the most welcoming or accessible. And probably for most of you, success is some combination of both of those, as these two versions are not mutually exclusive. I want to use this opportunity as nominee for valedictorian to reflect on and celebrate this messy, confusing, sometimes discouraging, and exciting diversity of experience. Because I don't believe that there is a single, universal experience of being a Mount A graduate. So rather than mask that fact, I want to recognize and explore the complicated, multifaceted, and sometimes contradictory realities of our lives here. Because if there's one thing that unites all our existences here in this little town and school, is that none of them have been the same. Thank you very much.
Good evening, fellow graduates. My name is Jonathan Graves, and I am running to represent the graduating class as the 2015 valedictorian. I want to start off by saying that I am not here to promote myself, as I do not believe that is what this position is intended to be. Personally, I do not feel the valedictorian should be selected based solely on individual accomplishments. I think the valedictorian should be someone students elect, trusting this person will work hard to represent our entire graduating community. In 2011, we all came here as a community of classmates slated to graduate in 2015. Since that early September day, we have all been a part of a story at Mount Allison, a story that has taken place throughout our educational journey, and one that is a product of the life experiences we have undergone. Each and every single one of us has experienced great successes, as well as great challenges since we've arrived here on campus. And each and every single one of us could tell you how we persevered. Our time spent at Mount Allison is far from easy, and to achieve the goal that we all go into debt for does not come without many highs and lows. That is what I feel the valedictorian speech should encompass. The class of 2015 and everything we have had to overcome to get to this point. Whether it is nearly losing a semester to a strike, having to essentially snowshoe to get to an 8:30 a.m. class, or seeing the word declined when you're trying to use your bank card. I think that the valedictorian speech should be a celebration of 4 of the best years of our lives and the journey our community has gone through to reach the final day we'll ever spend together. In closing, I want to thank you all for your time and say that I hope you all allow me to represent us and tell our story at this year's convocation. Thank you.
Before I start, please forgive my shakiness. If I'm being candid, my typical speech podium is Saturday night on top of the closest table surface, a few drinks deep. This is definitely a bit of a sobering change-up. University has brought a lot of changes. My friends have changed, my jean size have changed, even my hairline has changed as I currently try to hide accidentally burning my hair while lighting what I like to tell my mom was a candle. One thing that has remained constant, however, is the basic formula used to inquire about life as a student. From your 7-year-old grandmother to the person trying to get to know you at the bar, the conversation typically starts with, where do you go, what's your major, and of course, what are you doing after? Being in first year, or perhaps more stressfully fourth, I typically take one of 2 routes. Lie, and pretend I have my shit together, or honestly say that if I'm lucky if my thoughts extend beyond starting the paper due in 12 hours, when I'm gonna get to Decky's next, and why blank isn't texting me back. On occasion, and more often recently, I do indulge in asking myself what the heck I'm gonna do with my life next year. Following brief panic and recognition that I have absolutely no clue, I without fail run to the wisest and most qualified person I know, Google search. In a fury, I shake the magic Google 8-ball asking things like, what should I do with my life? Should I go to grad school, take a year off, travel, and if so, how do I sell my eggs to pay for it? But Google in its wonderful rationalized process presents me with approximately 425 million answers, taking all of 23 seconds to come up with. Thank you, modern technology, as if I didn't feel crappy enough. After several minutes of skimming the articles and getting expert opinions from BuzzFeed, I typically admit defeat and return to Netflix. Now, while I'm sure many of you can relate, equally as many of you may not be able to relate at all. My 4 years spent procrastinating, grinding at the pond, and falling on the treadmill at the fitness center may not be reflective of everyone graduating, but then again, whose university experience is. In sharing some of my own stories, I'm not suggesting that everyone can be narrowly defined by the same experiences, but instead arguing that, like most of you, some of my most pressing realities have been schoolwork, relationships, and the present and the future. As a good friend once said, being a student is great, but we need to be humans first. If given the honor of representing the graduating 2015 class, I will not try and box or categorize all our individual MTA journeys as an entirely collective. I will not issue that everyone has had the same student experience or will have the same future experience, but capitalize on the fact that before we were students, we were people with a range of experiences. We have all been happy and sad, failed and succeeded, fallen down and gone back up, loved Mount Allison, and hated it with a passion. So to conclude, if nothing else, I hope to stress that while our times here may have varied, the core of our experiences as humans and people is similar. And as a great Canadian philosopher once said, we started from the bottom, now we're here.